Depression is one of the most common mental disorders in the U.S. Please know the signs and symptoms.
Good afternoon. Today, our topic is about depression amongst young black college students. My first question for you today is, in your own words, how would you describe depression?
Depression, is the way I would describe it, is basically secrets that are bottled up inside, and it's something that you keep to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you keep it to yourself, but then you don't want anybody else to find out about it. It's like something you take to the grave.
Right. I totally understand that.
More than 7 million Black and African American individuals in the U.S. are living with a mental health condition.
Surveys show that the rate of depression on college campuses has increased in the last few decades. A 2013 survey of college students found that 33% of women and 27% of men reported a period in the last year that they felt so depressed it was difficult to function. Studies suggest that between a quarter and a third of students meet criteria for anxiety or depressive illness during their college experience. If you're feeling depressed, know that you're not alone, but it is very important to reach out for help.
Have little motivation, having trouble making decisions. You're sleeping either more or sleeping less than usual for you, feeling sad or blue, crying more than is normal for you. Any of these types of symptoms, including changes in appetite, I would suggest coming into the counseling center and seeing someone.
So, depression is not talked about a lot in the minority community, especially in the Black community. Part of it being because we don't have a lot of resources. We keep hearing about going to therapy and seeking professional help when it comes to dealing with depression, whether it's lifelong depression, or you've had it ever since you were young and you're still dealing with it today. It's not really talked about as much, and it's a stigma. And it's been a stigma for a long time. It's never been brand new. So I don't think that depression is being talked about a lot amongst us, and it should be, because people die from depression. People die in the effects of depression.
Mm-hmm.
With, like, for example, suicide.
Exactly.
It's talked about, just not talked about. And no matter how many times we encourage each other just to check up on each other and talk about our situations, it's not enough. especially young black men, because we deal with a lot of depression in the past.
Mm-hmm.
If from my understanding, there was a statistic that was about majority of cases of depression and suicide comes from black men. Well, men in general, but but part of it is black men, and it's an alarm. It's a conversation we should be talking about. Period.
So you definitely believe that if depression was talked about and dealt with properly more in our community, things could be prevented.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
If we talk amongst each other and be straightforward and just talk about our feelings with one another, especially the people that you trust, I do believe that there could be like a curve. There could be like a curve in statistics of depression in young black men,
Mm-hmm.
young black women, young minorities in general. I believe that curve will. I believe that trend will start to go down.
Right.
College is a time of major transition and of stress. Add in the pandemic, and colleges are left struggling to cope with ever-increasing levels of mental distress among students.
Judy, a study this year by the American College Health Association found that 48% of college students reported moderate or severe psychological stress, 53% reported being lonely, and 1 in 4 had considered suicide. Many college campuses are scrambling to expand and rethink the ways they help students cope with mental health concerns.
This is a ring the alarm moment that we have to understand what is happening in terms of these increasing trends.
Each succeeding generation of blacks are becoming more susceptible to the forces that lead them to consider suicidal behavior.
What we know for sure is that there are huge gaps in both access to quality mental health and access to culturally responsive mental and behavioral health services.
This is a tough period. This is a period of immense, complicated grief.
The pandemic and the murder of George Floyd, I don't know a black person, black kid who does not look at George Floyd and see themselves.
How do you help those who are not in the behavioral health care system get comfortable? There's still barriers for those who can't afford it. There's still barriers for those who can't get to it. And then there's still barriers regarding, does it really work for us?
There are a number of very highly trained, very highly committed professionals here to help bridge those gaps. One kind and caring adult can make all the difference.
Just to provide a lifeline, a support, an idea that you will get stronger, this will end, and you will be in a better space of joy. That sort of hope, that sort of lifeline is natural in the Black experience.
The pandemic is no doubt taking a toll on everyone's mental health, but experts are sounding the alarm over an increased rate of depression and suicide among Black youth.
New data from California's Department of Public Health shows the suicide rate of Black youth has doubled since 2014, and in 2020, 12 out of every 100,000 Black 18 to 24-year-olds died by suicide.
Those numbers are alarming. The U.S. Surgeon General has also warned about the increased risk of depression, anxiety, and stress. A December health advisory notes that during the pandemic, Black youths were more likely than others to lose a parent or caregiver to COVID-19.
Black people and minorities all over the country are suffering somehow. And let's face it, when it comes to people like us, we don't really talk about it a lot, and we also don't talk amongst our people. And I find that very frustrating.